world of technology and artificial intelligence with Intuit.
Hello and welcome to this special presentation titled Exploring the World of Technology and Artificial Intelligence with Intuit. I'm your host Gautam Srinivasan, and joining me to talk on a wide range of topics including how the global technology landscape is shaping up, ways to effectively harness the power of AI, and approaches to collaboration from a tech perspective are two distinguished engineers from global financial technology platform Intuit. Please welcome Anil Sharma and Rajat Khare. Anil, Rajat, great to have you on board and looking forward to harnessing your experience, a collective experience of nearly half a century, to first understand how this landscape is shaping up, because so many things have come and gone. And I want to take the conversation first on understanding the landscape and how Intuit is leveraging that. And then we move on to understanding about the harnessing of the AI paradigm and then the tech collaboration ecosystem. So Rajat, we'll start with you. So many things have happened. So your thoughts on how you see the industry shaping up and how Intuit is positioned to take advantage of these trends.
Sure. First of all, Gautam, thanks for having us here. Incredible opportunity to have a chance to sit and speak to you all. I think Anil and me have had the unique privilege of having seen this industry over the last 2.5 decades, a large part of both of us being at Intuit. And we've seen Intuit operate as a 40-year-old startup, having seen the world from moving to DOS to desktop days and progressively to web and the cloud, and most recently to AI. And we've had the opportunity to have been riding on the whirlwind tour of the crests and troughs of that. Both of us started our journey possibly in the late 2000s and early 2010s as a part of Intuit, where it was largely a desktop product, very popular in the US and some global countries, and it was transforming itself into a web product and therefore taking the early streets to go on the cloud. Today, easily 14, 15 years into this space, we see it into the most modern tech company on the verge of deeply embracing AI. So with that background context, as I look ahead, I see possibly three broad areas of technology where I am quite passionate about and I see Intuit investing a lot. The first, of course, is AI. We see that AI is here to stay, to make a lasting impact on humanity. It will impact every single industry and will create new resources for humans and therefore create new opportunities for us to prosper. Intuit's mission has been to power prosperity around the world. And we see AI in a meaningful way becoming a tool for that. I see that purely from a data science and AI perspective, problems around customer segmentation, recommendations, insights, deep learning being very accessible. What I saw, Gautam, over the last decade that passed was that compute became a commodity. It was so much easier to access compute and storage thanks to the amazing revolution by Amazon and Google and so on. I see the same now happening for AI. What was earlier a very niche area specified to data scientists and tech companies deeply invested to AI has now become a commodity that can be easily consumed by engineers and people at large.
Absolutely.
So with that context, I think what we see here at Intuit is a deep application of that in terms of personalized financial insights that we can deliver. It's space, whether it's in the space of content generation, summarizing and explaining complex financial aspects of our customers' lives, or also in terms of deeply running AI models that allow us to learn from customer behavior and provide them deep connections, be it to vendors and customers or potentially to their partners like accountants.
Absolutely. And I agree with your point on the commodification aspect of it, because that's where the new use cases open up. In the end of the day, technology is a momentum game, right? The moment the winds keep coming in, the wheels churn faster in any enterprise or whether it comes to the customer. Anil, coming to you for your thoughts on the fact that Intuit has always been known for having a unique approach to technology. So the strategies that you would implement to stay ahead of the curve, because that's what this game is all about. The market keeps rapidly changing, and for companies like yours, much admired companies from Silicon Valley, it is almost a default to expect that you will be ahead of the curve. So what are the strategies that you implement?
Yeah, no, I think as Rajat mentioned, right, we call ourselves 40-year-old startup. And for 40 years, we just not have been able to stay just relevant, but excel in the areas that we are in. And as you said, I think that is not possible unless we are able to transform ourselves with the changing technology landscape. So we have been doing that. And you're right, I think there are certain things that at Intuit we look forward to, right? That we have a kind of a forward-looking vision on what are the technologies which will impact the areas we are in, what will impact the customer problems that we are trying to solve. And we have been able to actually kind of take up those technologies and work toward that. One example that I would give you probably is, I think as Rajat was also mentioning, AI is the one area where we are focusing right now. But it's not that the focus which has come up right away. It is something around 5 years back itself, we said that we want to be AI-driven expert platform. Our strategy for it was actually seeded much earlier than, when all of the industry was catching up. So our focus on, let's say, having the data available, investing in having these large data pipelines, which is actually becomes foundational for solving any kind of a AI problem. We started investing in it much earlier. Now that when we see that we have data, we have models ready, and we can build application on top of it, we are getting into something called GenOS, right? I'm sure that you would have heard of it. Is a framework by which we enable everybody at Intuit to build the application. So I think the key strategy for at which we work, looking at what is coming in the industry, what are the technology trends that are coming in, be very cautious about what is the one which will impact us, test it with customers, and then go take it to the stage where we are able to actually then build application on top of it or solve the problems that we want to do.
Absolutely.
So we have done that many times, and I think this time also with the AI, I think we are doing the same thing.
It's almost like playing the IPL, right? You come for every season. There's a new variable at play, but the constant is excellence, which is what you bring to the table. And taking forward what you mentioned, a 40-year-old startup, the fact that you need to have yourself a fresh mindset despite being such a wanted player in this space. Rajat, when we look at it from an organizational culture perspective, that's seen as key to fostering innovation. So what works for Intuit in terms of organizational culture driving innovation in this 40-year-old startup?
Absolutely. I think I've seen three recurring cultural trends at our organization that has really helped us in going through the tide that I talked about. The first is our relentless focus on customer-driven innovation. We are a very technology-focused company, but for us, the customer problems come first. And what we train ourselves and all our employees and our partners is to really deeply immerse ourselves and fall in love with our customer problems first, and the solutions follow. And that we do by studying the customer behavior, doing an activity called Follow Me Homes, where we go and look at how customers use our products and services, how their daily life looks like. Extract from that are the trends and insights that we get, that we feed into what we now call as a technology-driven innovation, where we now are looking at these customer problems as our foundation, but then we look at the ways of solving them to be as cutting edge as could be possible. So that allows us to invest up to 20 to 30% of our investments into technology investment that keep us ahead of the curve, invest in the technologies for the future, and keep our technology stack also as current as possible. A third aspect that we've lately started applying is that whole aspect of platform thinking, which is to not just solve for the use case and problem on the table, but also step back and apply a platform-based thinking. So we've organized a complete organization into a set of capabilities that we look at how do we leverage each other, first of all, internally, but then also compose these capabilities in the service of customers.
And that helps in the long term, right? It's not a band-aid solution. It is something which you are building as a substrate, as a superstructure, so that when your customers scale up, they do not face those problems.
And I think third aspect that I looked at is our continuous focus on the diversity that we are addressing. Our customers are diverse. They are globally distributed. They span from probably 18 years of Gen Zs to anybody later on their career, still running businesses or still running their personal finances. So when we look at that spectrum, diversity of gender, diversity of people, diversity of the workforces they come from, deeply affect the way we build our solutions. So I think these three trends I have seen are deeply influencing our strategy as well as technology.
All right. So Anil, taking this forward, while we are in the 21st century, we also have to remember that there are some customers, some organizations still making their way towards the 21st century. So from the perspective of balancing innovation and stability, how do you make sure that integrating legacy system and bringing them to a modern era works for your customers? How do you go about it?
Oh yeah, I think very relevant problem, and especially as we were saying that 40 years old. So obviously there are systems which have served our customers so well. Now we call them legacy, but it is something on which customers are still using it.
If it ain't broke, why fix it?
Yeah, exactly. And then sometimes actually we call it as a trying to fix an engine in a plane which is mid-air.
Absolutely.
Because we can't have any turbulence for our customer. At the same time, we need to now get a new engine fixed on the plane. So these challenges have been very, very, relevant. I think some example which earlier Rajat also mentioned, right? When we moved from, let's say, desktop to SaaS-based, offerings that we want to do, or our own on-prem kind of setup to cloud, these challenges came in. I think at Intuit, what has helped us, and this again has been our learning over years, is that having that foundation of high operational and engineering rigor, when we are thinking of such thing, it becomes very foundational. Because if you have right set of tools, right set of observability, right set of all these operational processes in place, that what you want to experiment, what you want to test, but there is a fallback for you. There is a way by which you will know if something is going wrong or not. And both of us were part of the journey when we moved from, as I was saying, right, for our own data center to the cloud. And the way we would do it is that we would have our system set up on cloud, but we will do a 1 hour tiptoe just to see everything is fine or not, and come back to our own data center. Then when we get a confidence, do a 30 days, then slowly do a month or so. But what enabled us is that we have this, as I was saying, that this foundation of, can we observe what is happening when we are doing, taking our traffic to cloud? Do we have a very quick way to fall back if something goes wrong? So I would say that very strong foundational operational and engineering excellence, that becomes very critical when we have to integrate these legacy systems, or actually kind of re-architect or move on to the new technology trend. So that becomes important.
I'm sure some of the sysadmins and sysops engineers watching this will have a wry smile on their face, reminiscing their times as well. But to make it a pitch for organizations who are still legacy and they have to come to the modern world, let's focus the discussion now on AI, which we were touching upon earlier. And Anil, your thoughts on, you mentioned about Gen OS. I want you to expand more on that and the new ways in which AI is being harnessed by Intuit to enhance its products and services. I believe there's Intuit Assist as well. Take us through all the new things which are coming about, so that the ones who are watching, they'll get a sense of, if I move to the future, these are the options available for me to scale up rapidly and enhance my operations.
So Gen OS in short is our operating system at which we want to build all the functionality capabilities for our customer. Mainly it has 4 parts. It starts with something called Gen Studio, which gives power to our developers, engineer, to build applications, either AI native application or any customer problem that we want to solve, but through AI. So it is a playground for our engineers to go ahead and try out things, right? Build the things. Then there is a second element, which is Gen Runtime, which enables actually deploying these applications or taking these applications to the customer with all the guardrails in place. With AI, as you know, right, there are many things that would come in with the data security, with cost and many other things.
All plug and play.
All plug and play. So Gen Runtime takes care of it. Then comes our Gen UX, experience. Because what we have learned, right, experience is also becoming, the AI is also influencing what the experience would be. We have started at a time where typing was one of the, or punch card maybe the one of the things by which you interact with the computer. Then it becomes, UI experiences. Then it was just swipe, right, and touch and other things. We see that evolution happening with Gen AI. So Gen UX becomes another important part. And finally, one of the more foundational one is our LLMs, right? Everybody have there are public LLMs, but we want to build financial LLM, which is very specific to the domain in which we operate. So these are 4 main pillars which actually Gen OS covers. It enables every engineer or everybody at Intuit to start thinking of how to solve problems with AI. Right? Oh. And with this, I think, again, going back to the kind of problems we are being able to solve is all these deep insights, right, driven from the data of our customers, or having many of these automation in place, which otherwise need to be done manually, but now through a conversation, you are able to do that. So there are these many applications which we have been able to build on Gen OS, and Intuit Assist is the form in which it surfaces in many of our products.
All right. How about you expand on the impact that all these developments have had, especially when Gen OS comes to the table, the transformative impact for the company and for the customers? What would you say, Rajat?
In one way, if I look at it, our focus on the customer problems remain the same. Our desire to simplify the financial lives of our customers remain the same. But the house in our hand that we had even 4 or 5 years ago versus what we have now has completely changed. So building upon the Gen OS foundation, which really is an integrated platform that allows every single engineer or every single employee in the company to imagine and innovate for our customers. What it really now opens up is a way that we can contextually look at our data across small businesses, consumer finance, and taxes to provide very personalized financial insights for the customers. Let me take a few examples on where this Intuit Assist engine is already under deployment in many of our products. Let me start with TurboTax, our most popular product in the service of helping consumers with filing income taxes. You would imagine
the right time to pitch it, considering it's the end of the financial year.
Absolutely. Looking forward to the next couple of weeks, right? So imagine the whole process of identifying the right documents to extract, the right questions to answer. That's where Intuit Assist starts playing a role in helping them with asking just about the right questions, nudging whether the right document that they should provide, extracting the relevant data for it, and then explaining their tax situation. The whole aspect of explainability is being dealt with Intuit Assist. Finally, ultimately leading them to summarizing what their tax filing is, right? And in all of this process, what we have seen is about a 1.5 times improvement in our customers' ability to understand, reason with the explainability of their tax situation compared to our earlier mechanisms. So that's where TurboTax has Intuit Assist actively into play. A second example is a product called MailChimp that is in the service of providing CRM capabilities to our customers. So imagine them authoring an email that a small business has to send to their customers. It will auto-generate the email by looking at insights of your products and services from your accounting, and will possibly generate campaigns on how frequently should you address your customers, and finally also analyze how the campaign went. By literally a conversational like way, how did my campaign go? Was this effective? Should I run it to all of my customers? All right, yes, go ahead, right? And we've seen about 50% more activations of such campaigns that our customers have utilized, and the time spent for them to even create and deploy such campaigns has come down by 70%. The third and the most developing application is in our product called QuickBooks, where we are looking for that to provide deep insights, whether it's in cash flow or financial insights from a customer, or we are automating their day-to-day tasks. Create invoices for me, pull up my customer reports, look at how my particular product or service is doing by a certain category. All of these are almost like an interactions we have with an Alexa or a Google on a day-to-day basis, right?
Well,
so
please create a CRM for journalists as well. It's something which I've been asking for, saying we need it the most often in our line of work. But great to see the applications are wide and diverse and not just narrow for a certain set of customers. Now, from the zoomed in perspective, again, a broader point of view as to what the technological priorities are at Intuit and how is Intuit looking at it from a long-term vision and goals perspective. I'll open this question to the both of you. Anil, maybe you take this up, and Rajat.
I think AI is definitely on the top of the list for the priority from the technology perspective, in which Intuit has been investing heavily from past many years. Other than AI and Gen AI, I think the other investment for us has been in what we call the two-sided network with experts and customers. So it's as I was saying earlier, that it is AI-based expert platform is that what our vision is. So we are investing heavily on having that expert network being done and serving our customer. I would say the third one is because we are in the fintech domain. I think heavy investment on that area itself. The payment space and the fintech space is some of the areas we are investing.
Absolutely. I think we've been long before even the word fintech would probably have been coined. We have been in the service of solving financial problems for our customers, right from the day our founder Scott Cook looked at customers struggling with a notepad and a pencil to balance their books on their dining table. We've come a long way in truly understanding what financial planning and problems are. So in that respect, in the current day and age, we look at fintech to address potentially three major problems. The first is of lending, the ability of finance at will when a small business is really looking for it. So we look at a deep application of tech as well as AI in the space of lending. Secondly is money movement. I mean, we are fortunate in our country to have the government itself enabled money movement so seamlessly, but such may not be the case globally. So how do we truly simplify in the context of a small business or a consumer, the ability to move money, and of course then simplifying banking. So these are the three areas we deeply look at investments in fintech, building on a strong foundation and understanding of the customer base that we want to really lean on.
Absolutely. And in a sense, India has become this innovation incubator, right? Because as you mentioned, whether it's a lending, whether it's banking services, the pandemic had most of us move to branchless banking, and I'm sure most of us have not even gone back to a physical branch. And same with lending, new options, new ways to reach out to customers who earlier would not have, say, taken up a lending solution, where it affects their day-to-day activities in a positive way, that's also bringing them and their mindset into the 21st century and embracing technology to take forward the way that they work. All right, now from that lens, we look at the right approach to adopt and go for new technologies, because as I mentioned, new technologies, they come, they appear fantastic, and you're wondering whether I'm going to sort of bet the house on it. But it requires a company with such vast and extensive experience to know what's the right bet. Again, I go back to the analogy of the cricket team, right? As a captain, you need to know who are the players I'm going to back and see long term who are going to be part of my team. So from your perspective, Anil, when we look at these technological curves shortening, new technologies coming in, what's the right approach to going with the right kind of technology? What would you say to that?
Yeah, so I think few things I would say that we do at Intuit and which has worked for us. Right? One is, I think we have a group itself called Tech Futures, which is actually looking into what is coming up, right? What are the ones which are relevant for Intuit and the domain in which we operate? What is the maturity of technology? Trying out some problems with customer, that does it fit or not? And as I said, there are so many things, and even more so now that every few days you would hear something or the other coming up. So, but you need to see that what are the ones which actually are relevant for the area in which you operate. So, this group is helpful for us to narrow down on what are the areas we want to invest in, which translates to the strategy for us, long-term strategy, right? Then we start testing some of these with our customers. Rajat had earlier mentioned the customer-driven innovation that we do, and these technologies become part of as that step. We want to see, is it any problems that customers have? Are we able to solve it better with the technology that we have? And once we have those learnings, then we go into a kind of standardizing it, a kind of paved path by which at Intuit everybody can start doing it. I gave an example of GenOS, but we have many such examples wherein initial phases of the technology we want to try out, teams were trying out, but once we know that this is something which will solve across Intuit, we want to standardize it.
What would you say is the X factor when you know that this technology is going to be mainstream? I mean, from the Tech Futures conversations that you have, is there a certain X factor where you say that, you know what, I think this is going to be a long-term bet? Anything that you could share?
Yeah, so I think it is a combination of, I would say there is some, again, I think science and art part of it. Obviously, we know that from the technology point of view that what are the ones which are will be more relevant in futures, right? And it's not always that you are right. And we were talking about this some time back as well. That I think some years back we thought of the focus, what came out from our future-looking technology. This is around 10-12 years back. That mobile, social, global is the one which is, I think, where we would be investing heavily and do that. Global, we definitely did because we had products which were otherwise localized for one country. But when we started launching product in another one, mobile, we thought it is something which for our industry may also be relevant. But then we learned later that may not be, because your, let's say, bookkeeping, accounting and other things is not something which you do on the go. There is parts of it which will happen, but not all. So there are some learnings that comes in after we try it out. But again, I think I don't know if there is a standard way by which we would say that it's definitely work versus not. AI is one thing which we definitely feel very positive about, that this is something which is for the future, and we have been investing.
Absolutely. And when it comes to AI, I mean, there are subsets to that conversation as well. But I like the term, as you mentioned, the marriage of art and science is when you know that you've got something which is going to work. And as they say, any advanced science is indistinguishable from magic. So I'm looking forward to what Magic Tech Futures kind of brings to the table for the wider Intuit ecosystem. But looking at all the possibilities, I mean, there's also this aspect of safeguarding data, which is going to be key, and it is gaining focus across the world. So, Rajat, what would you say is Intuit's approach and guidance in terms of safeguarding customers' data, because you are in a very highly regulated ecosystem? So, what's the right approach?
No, absolutely. I think we look at it in a couple of ways. The first is, how do we keep complete control of regulating and managing data in the hands of customers. So customer data as managed and governed by their own rights. And second is, how do we use the data in a safe and responsible fashion, either to participate in AI models or general data analysis. For the first one, we ensure that we make sure our customers' data, their preferences, as well as their aspects like their session cookies and any paper trails that they leave are completely in their hands to control. We abide by all norms like GDPR and provide data governance that should they want to leave us, should they want to move away, they have complete control on removing all trails of customer data preferences and settings with us. We also treat being a financial software product company various degrees of classifying data in a way that all sensitive and highly sensitive data at any data at rest systems is completely encrypted at various levels, at the respective transaction level, store level, as well as the system level. So that, in fact, one may think that on going on the cloud may actually lead to more vulnerability. What we have recognized is we can have even much more safer practices, standards available on the cloud than what one would administer in on-premise. So we've seen a huge difference in our ability to manage our customer data well. The second is more looking at now at responsible AI. How do we look at leveraging customers' data and other metadata that we work with across the industry, say tax rules, financial rules, and so on, that we all gather and extract to be safely used in our recommendations and AI insights. So we have a governing body that regularly looks at the strategy and direction around responsible AI. All use cases that look at any customer-facing experiences go through a very rigorous and diligent process. We train our workforce very well in terms of how do we responsibly treat with AI. So therefore, engineers are provided a standardized workbench through which they just can't access any AI model outside just like that and start throwing data. It's reasonably well regulated, but at the same time very open. So these are some ways in which we are making sure, both from customers' perspective as well as our perspective, we are looking at consumption of data in a very safe and governed fashion.
Absolutely. And it shows the maturity in the ecosystems as well, that the guardrails are being built natively rather than as an afterthought. But bringing all these possibilities alive is also going to involve working with other players in this ecosystem. And we take the conversation forward on that collaborative aspect. And I'll get both of your perspectives on this, which is, since collaboration is key in the tech ecosystem, what is Intuit's approach to working with other organizations, and how does that sort of foster innovations? Maybe Rajat, you take this up, and then Anil will come to you for your thoughts.
We strongly believe in the world that we are. The collaboration comes. One of the most foremost ways of enabling collaboration, especially with the industry and the larger community, is through open source. So that's an area we are quite passionate about. There are flagship projects where we are deeply invested in, one of them being Argo, which is a whole CI/CD pipeline and more of your workload management capability that we have deeply open sourced and work closely with the CNCF, Cloud Native Cloud Foundation community, in a lot of thought processes on how we look at. We actively participate in KubeCons and other such forums. The other is our general participation in various governing bodies and forums that allow us to innovate and be a part of standards. GraphQL, for example, is an API standard that we are a founding member right since 2015, and we've actively contributed to that. Beyond that, we look at industry diaspora, and our engagement with academia is another big way. So be it across the globe geographically in US, or be it even in India, we very deeply collaborate with academia. Here, for example, we have a deep association with BITS Pilani and several other engineering and academic institutions to exchange thoughts, ideas, as well as practices. Right? Anil, you want to add more?
Yeah, I think, to add on to what Rajat was saying, I think in addition to technology, academia, I think one important factor that we have in terms of collaboration is also the customer base whom we serve. Especially we are into small business and personal finance. So there are many organizations, Pro Advisor being one, with which we collaborate very closely, because to understand the problems, understand the landscape, changing rules, regulation, that is where the collaboration happens. Also at India, like somebody like NESCOM is what we closely collaborate with. So not just the tech academia, but also the customers bodies that we.
So, and it's also important in order to drive the talent pipeline as well, that the ecosystem works together to make sure that the broader objectives of taking technologies forward, to make sure that the impact is positive for whether it's customers or for the nation, is there. And talking about a positive impact, let me come to you, Rajat, because I want to take a slight detour to our conversation, not just a tech focus, but beyond business. How does Intuit use technology to create positive impact in the society? How do you do
something that I am glad that you bring that up, as very dear to our heart. We look at what we call as we care and give back, very dear to our hearts. our mission is really powering prosperity around the world. And while we do that, of course, through our products and services, it also is a part of our DNA and how we do it through our outreach to the community. I'll call out a couple of programs in the more recent past that have been really a big focus area. One of them is something that we call as a prosperity hub. And the idea is across geographies, probably 9 or 10 more countries, we impact the communities in 3 ways. How do we create economic impact locally by creating new job opportunities? How do we train students for jobs and skill set for the future? And how do we then invest in small businesses that may be in need of support, finance, education, and guidance, right? A related program that we have in India is something that we call as Intuit Rise, which is about empowering girl child education for underserved communities where the girl child comes from, where we take care of their comprehensive educational coverage. One of the interesting things that we've laid out is that for every employee who joins us, so we are probably a 1700 odd organization at India, we sponsor one girl child education. So this year we are on path to already have rolled out about 1500 scholarships, and we want to go a bit more. So these are 2 programs that are really, our commitments towards impact to the community is established.
Girl power. But it's great to see organizations sort of taking the lead in making sure that the next generation gets the right kind of opportunities and enhances the world that they live in. Taking that forward, Anil, coming to you, because diversity and inclusion are becoming important themes in all industries. So what's Intuit's approach to promoting diversity within its tech teams, and how do you overcome challenges around this theme in the sector, in your opinion?
I think similar to serving the community, this is also core to our values, which is having a workforce which is diverse in nature, inclusive, right? And I think it's not just driven from, let's say, the trend, but it is more on that our customer base or the customers who are solving for, they are also very diverse in nature. I think in the beginning, Rajat mentioned that somebody from 18 years to 80 years are the customers who are using our product. So it becomes very important that everybody who is working at Intuit is able to bring their whole self to the work, right? And that is where this plays a very important part. We have many programs within Intuit and Intuit India also, which actually helps enable bringing in the diverse set of people to work. We have something called Women at Tech, wherein the main aim is that we are able to attract, retain, and also help them grow women in the technology, because that plays a very important part. Similarly, there are other initiatives by which there are many underrepresented communities who don't get an opportunity to apply. So there is a training program from them so that they get trained to be hired at Intuit, and this is something which is a paid program done at Intuit level. So there are many such things, I think, wherein Intuit has been really focusing on to make sure that our workforce have this the diverse set of people working for it.
Fantastic. Before we wrap up our conversation, I also want to get your thoughts on how you foster a culture of continuous learning and adaptability within your teams, because doing all these things that you have outlined, right, requires the buy-in from your teams, and they also need to keep continuously learning. So maybe we'll get both of your perspectives on this. Anil, starting with you.
No, I think very important. I think very dear to us as a tech leaders itself, that the people with whom we work, they have opportunity to upskill, they have opportunity to learn the skills of the future, and we also be able to work in the areas in which they are interested in. Maybe I'll mention few programs that we have, which we do at Intuit India or Intuit level itself. I think one of the things right now, as we were talking about the AI, right, and that is the skill of the future. We want everybody to be trained in it. All the workforce at Intuit India is undergoing a program by which we want all engineers, every other function to be trained in it. There are 3 parts to it. AI mindset, which is basically how do you think about a customer problem that can be solved through AI. It's not just about building the products and things. You also have to start thinking about what can be solved, where does it apply. So mindset is the first part. Then the second part is that how do you build these AI native capabilities, right? Because we have been traditionally being used to building a functionality or capability in a certain manner. Now with this shift, we have to start thinking differently, and we have tools for that, something like GenOS that we mentioned, but everybody has to get trained on it. This is the second one. Third one is that even if you're not building right now the capabilities using AI, but AI can assist you in your day-to-day work as well, right? So developer productivity, if you are a developer, or any other functional group, if you are a marketeer, you want to run campaigns for Intuit, there are many tools available for you. So, right, having those tools, knowledge about that, get trained on it. So that's another one. So this is one set of program and specific to AI. But in general, what Intuit also does enables is easy mobility for you to go into different teams, sometimes go into different function group as well, based on your interest. That gives you an opportunity to grow, to learn, adapt to the new things that you want to do.
Absolutely. We're moving from the world of DIY to DAIY. So taking that forward, what Rajat, what Anil has mentioned in terms of fostering this culture of learning and adaptability, what would you say?
Especially in the space of technology, something that we always are very passionate about is how do we create a culture of engineering and technology, right? Once that culture really sets in, where you are inquisitive about learning new things, you're sharing with each other, I think it has a very sporadic effect across all functions. So in that space, we look at the whole aspect of creating a technology culture in a very disciplined fashion. How do we encourage our workforce to be able to express their knowledge in an easy fashion, both in written form, oral form, participate in conferences, both internally and externally. But taking it to the next level is that we spend about 2 weeks, during spring and it's close to the winter, across the whole organization in something that we call as global engineering days, where we stop what our regular projects are or what our business deliverables are, and we empower the organization to pick up projects of their choice. We started that by doing it probably 1 or 2 days, but we saw the impact was so amazing that we let the teams pick problems of their choice. We probably identified themes, and for 1 week they come together and code and take things to production. And we've seen such amazing things getting done in those 1 week of completely empowered, high adrenaline, innovation-led work that sometimes may otherwise take weeks and months. And doing it 2 times a week just like leapfrogs us to the next degree of innovation. So these are some measures that we continue to infuse the right level of technology energy into the organization while we continue to stay focused on our customer problems.
Absolutely. And that's the key word there that you mentioned, empowerment, because in a sense, democratization of data and allowing everyone to do what they do best, using the tools available with them, empowers them to drive innovation for the organization and fosters that culture. On that note, it's time to wrap up our conversation titled Exploring the World of Technology and Artificial Intelligence with Intuit. Anil, Rajat, great to get your views on board this conversation, and as senior leaders of the tech industry on the wave points guiding this tech odyssey that Intuit has embarked upon for so many years to help customers overcome their most important financial challenges. Thank you so much for your time. And of course, thank you to our viewers for tuning in. Till next time, this is your host, Gautam Srinivasan, signing off. Have a great day.
Exploring the world of technology and artificial intelligence with Intuit.